Hello friends, welcome to this episode of Blossoms and Bourbon. My name is Mark and I'm the owner here at Creative Occasions. It's a pleasure to welcome you to my workroom. This is where we refer to all the magic happening, so I'm glad that you could be here for that. This is Hand-Tied Bouquet Part 2. If you've watched the first one, we discussed the basic spiral technique for putting together a hand-tied bouquet. And in that video, I really wanted to keep it kind of simple in terms of the types of the materials that we used in that, so that you could focus on the technique itself and not really worry too much about the combination of materials or the colors, the balance of the colors, all those things. This is the one where we get to play with that. We're going to play with the color, we're going to play with lots of texture, and really create a beautiful hand-tied bouquet that would be suitable for really any occasion. So a quick rundown on materials. We have peonies. This greenery is called mini coin. We've got some miniature carnations, some more peonies of a different variety, hydrangea, clematis, which is just so much fun, beautiful dahlias. This is wax flower. This really fun flower that's called Bouquet. You've seen me use this one before, another fan favorite. This is free spirit, some sunflowers, some standard carnations. I know, shocking, right? And then this greenery that I have no idea what it is, but it came in a mixed box from the wholesaler and I love it. So without further ado, let's get started. Remember that in the proper spiral technique for the hand-tied, you have one stem that you're going to lay in your hand, and then the next stem is going to lay over it at a diagonal. So now what we're going to do as we make this one is not just picking up flowers and greenery. We're actually going to be paying attention to the coloration of what we're putting together so that there's a balance of color. And you can see already I'm beginning to kind of just gaze at what's on the table here and kind of figure out how that mixture is going to work. I do like kind of interspersing some of these greenery elements through it. Just give this a little quarter turn here. And yeah, still following that same spiral that we had in the other one. Again, reminder to just not put a death grip on the flowers, but use your index finger and your thumb to create a little circle, and that circle are where the stems of the flowers rest. When we were prepping for this, Jason said, wow, there's a lot of stuff in this one. I said, yeah, this is going to be the one that makes my hand hurt because it's going to be it'll be challenging to hold this all. All right. Let's get a little bit of this wispy clematis in there. Let's do that. Oh, I already like that. Are you okay with that? I mean, I like lots of color, so this I find very pleasing to have a lot of elements that have color in the bouquet. Let's pop in a little bit of this Florida ruscus as well. One of the things that I like about something like Florida ruscus in a bouquet like this is it actually helps create some space in the bouquet, so then all the flowers aren't kind of smushed together. They actually kind of gives them some breathing room around. So I think that's kind of a nice element of that. We don't have one of these guys in there. Let's do that. Okay. Oh, look what I discovered. I forgot that these were in the stack. These are asters, Matsumoto asters. Really pretty, add a little element of air to the design. All right. What do you say we go for that big pink hydrangea next? Gonna do a little spiral, a little twist and turn. Okay. Now, I was picking up that carnation, but I'm right here in the bouquet. So that's probably a little too close to this one. I want it to be a little more evenly spaced. So I'll probably wait until I get back around there to put that in. Maybe that peony would work great. You'll notice that as I'm going along, if my hand covers a leaf or grabs onto a leaf, I just pull it off and clean it right out. It's impossible to know where all those leaves are going to end up when you're cleaning the flowers for prepping. And that is one point that I made in the first video, that it's important, and the reason that all this stuff is laying here like this is it's very important to know, or to have all the flowers prepped prior to starting to work with them, so that everything is ready to go, and you don't have to kind of fiddle with stripping leaves or things like that off as you're working on the bouquet. All right. I'm going to put that guy back in here, over on that side. Yep. Let's do some more Buplorum. Buplorum is a very water-sensitive flower, so it's probably not a flower that I would use if I were making an actual bride's bouquet. Just because the bride's bouquet is out of water for so long during the day, I probably wouldn't choose that because it's going to wilt down pretty quickly. So I would go for another type of foliage that has the same effect, perhaps. Okay, pink hydrangea, green hydrangea, another green hydrangea. You do have to use some caution when you're adjusting flowers in these and pulling on the heads to kind of pull them out and get those kind of irregular surfaces that are so nice. Because I actually have pulled the head right off of a flower before when I've been doing that. And then that's no fun because you have to then replace it and work it back in, which is something I'll show you here in just a second, how you can make that happen. This mini coin is a weed. I mean, it's just really a fun textural little foliage, but it's a weed. Please don't forget to subscribe to our videos. Please make comments. I love to hear from you, and I promise I respond to every comment. So I'd love to know what you think. Love to know what your thoughts are, and if you've tried hand tides or if you have a technique that you like a little bit better or differently, please let me know that. I was being a little overly aggressive with that stem and he broke, so. One thing also that I do, especially when I'm doing this work for clients, is if the bride has told me or if the client has told me that they love dahlias, and dahlias are super expensive, and we're going to be able to use dahlias but maybe not have an entire bouquet of them, then one thing that I'll be sure to do is make sure that the dahlias are sort of prominently placed. And that's one of the things that I for sure will go back and pull up in the bouquet so that they are visible, so that when the client looks at this, they can immediately see, oh yeah, they're the dahlias. Oh gosh, they're my favorite and I love them. I think that's super important. Just shows that we were paying attention when we heard the client and what they like. All right, so I was about to put this one here too close to the other one, so I'm going to go on the other side with it. Making sure I'm keeping that spiral going by putting that stem in that direction though. Yeah, Jason, this is getting big. Need a little work over on this side. It was starting to get a little bit cattywampus on me. That's a very technical floral term, Jason. Cattywampus. I bet you guys don't think Jason's really here. He never says anything, right? You just think it's just me and the camera. All right. I think we need a dahlia here to kind of keep the balance of the dahlias through. See those little purples? We've got some orange worked all the way through. Maybe we could use some orange over here. We've got the hot pink worked all the way through. Let's put an orange rose right next to that pink hydrangea. Whoa, that's nice. And let's go around with a little bit more of this that I don't know what it is, but that I love. All right, I think I'm really about finished with that, you guys. What's that look like? Good? We're gonna use our friend the bond wire again. Man. We cannot leave that peony laying on the table. We just cannot. All right, so you kind of secure the wire with one finger, give it a couple of twists around, and then we're going to just tie it off. All right, so there's that one. And it's still loose. It's not completely bound tightly together so that it wouldn't move. Again, if I were putting this in a bride's hands, we would probably have the ribbon on it so that it would be more attractive and a smoother finish for her to hold. But in this case, I think that's going to be gorgeous to go home and put in a vase. Maybe this is the one Debbie will get, Jason. You know, I mentioned that in one other episode, and then I never took the flowers home to her. So anyway, I am just going to put this right here. And thinking about this, I actually thought that this color scheme, it looks like summer to me. It just, you know, looks and feels fun and whimsical. But if you're thinking in terms of weddings, it may not look so much like a wedding to you. You may not have envisioned those bright colors for a wedding. So I did make up another one today that is probably a little bit more on trend with wedding colors that we're seeing right now. And that is this sort of creamy, ivory, blushy, peachy kind of color palette. So this is probably more akin to what you would see for a wedding. Again, same spiral hand-tied technique. You can see how the placement of the stems is and how they do create the spiral. So we've stuck to that, but yet we have this amazing assortment of texture, of flower colors, of flower shapes and flower types. And that's honestly just part of what makes this so very beautiful. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed Hand-Tied Bouquet Part 2. I want you to try it. It's not intimidating at all. And I will have to say, I think it was Melissa who had reached out to me with a comment early on when we had asked if there were any things you wanted to see us feature. And she said that she had trouble with doing roses in a rose bowl and getting them to look like something. Melissa, I think maybe what you should try is that all rose hand-tied thing that we did in part 1, and then chop them off, bind them together, and put them in your rose bowl. See if that doesn't do a little bit better for the mechanics of making that arrangement stay together nicely for you, okay? All right, segue to today's bourbon selection. This bourbon is also from a distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville. You have to say it's Louisville, not Louisville, but Louisville. It is called Angel's Envy. The really, really cool part of their story is that they age this bourbon anywhere up to about 6 years. And every year that it's aged inside the cask, they lose about 5% of the product to evaporation. And they refer to that 5% as the angel share, which I think is just such a cool connotation for that. So what's left, they refer to as something that is worthy of the angel's envy. And that's how this distillery got its name. So I just think that's a great backstory. It is also sort of a more modern, but yet kind of seated in some history in terms of the facility that's in Louisville. It's a beautiful facility to go into and to tour. The products are amazing. I talk about the color a lot. I do love this kind of reddish amber color. This particular product from Angel's Envy has been aged or finished after the 6 years that it's been part of the distillation process. It's aged in port wine casks. And that process takes another 3 to 6 months on top of the 6 years. So again, that port wine cask element of this is something that is, definitely impacted the coloring. It's definitely going to impact the flavor. So let's give it a taste. All right. It does have a little bit of a reddish quality to it, sort of a reddish amber color in the glass. Super nice. Definitely vanilla. That's kind of interesting. I did do some reading on this ahead of time, and one of the things it said that you could smell was like a maple syrup kind of fragrance, and you really can. I hadn't paid attention to that before, but it's kind of cool. All right. Definitely still the vanilla. Definitely a fruit flavor. It's definitely very smooth. It's not one of those that has those heavy cinnamon spicy notes that sometimes lands in the back of my tongue when I'm tasting it. This one, again, is more midpoint on my tongue. And there's a little bit of like this really dark chocolatey almost essence to it too, which is kind of interesting. This also is a blended product. So when they're taking the product out of the barrels at the distillery, they never use more than 8 to 12 barrels to combine a specific batch of this bourbon. So Angel's Envy, a great place to visit, a great place to taste. You guys, it's amazing having you here. I so appreciate the fact that you've taken your time to join us. I hope again that you'll like and subscribe to the videos. I hope that you'll be back next time when who knows what we'll be doing in the world of flowers and bourbon. But until then, cheers. Here's to you and to flowers and bourbon every day. Take care.